There's so much to say about Etsy ads, and it's not as linear as you maybe think. But let's start from the beginning. I started my Etsy shop on the 1st of May 2023. That means I'm 8 months into my Etsy journey. I'm actually in the productivity niche, which is a little bit saturated, but you can create specific products which are in demand and where the competition is fairly low. I'm actually a European seller. I live in Sweden. I'm originally from Germany, if you wondered what kind of accent that is. But yeah, I live in Sweden at the moment, and that's basically where I sell from, although it's digital products I'm selling, so I don't have to ship anything. And often when I show you my Etsy dashboard, it will show you Swedish krona, but whenever you see Swedish krona, I will convert it into US dollars. If you're new to Etsy, let's go this journey together. Subscribe to this channel and leave a comment down below and let me know where you're from in this world and if you're looking to start an Etsy shop or if you already have an Etsy shop. If you don't have an Etsy shop already, then you find a link in my description down below with 40 free listings, and there's also another link where I give you 50 digital product ideas if you don't know where to start. And you will find some other useful resources in my description down below. So let's dive into Etsy ads and my personal experience with it. So once you have opened your Etsy shop, you can start with Etsy ads 2 weeks after your launch. It actually used to be, I think, immediately, because I remember I started 10 days after I started my Etsy shop. I basically just decided that's when I wanted to give it a go. And now I started a second Etsy shop and I had to wait 14 days. I probably will talk about my second Etsy shop soon, but at this moment I'm not focusing much on it, but it's good comparison sometimes to see what you need to do to kind of keep up your Etsy shop and how Etsy responds to your activity. So first of all, I would really recommend you try Etsy ads. No matter how you feel about it. I assume you don't have much experience with it, so you should experiment with it. So you should definitely at least try 30 days where you switch on the Etsy ads. The reason is it really gives your new channel, who no one knows about it, a little boost. And it tries to figure out what your shop is about. Because it's not that it takes like a keyword or a description and says, okay, this is now the category. It really wants to know who the right customer is. Even if you have a really good keyword which really describes your channel, like let's say it's a planner, although a planner could be a lot of things as well. It doesn't only serve people who put planner in, especially planner is a very saturated keyword. So Etsy really tries to figure out what your shop is about and what your listings are about, your products. And you can kind of expedite a little bit this whole finding out phase with switching Etsy ads on, because Etsy will then try to find customers, present your product to certain customers and learn from it. I would say $1 a day is enough, especially if you're an Etsy seller who doesn't have a lot of money and can spend a lot of money on marketing, which is basically Etsy ads as a form of marketing. I would start with $1 a day. I started with $4 a day. I think maybe I read it somewhere or watched a video and, someone said $4 is a good amount, which is not wrong, to be honest, but I know the feeling of starting with Etsy ads and it's very terrifying. You just don't know what you're doing. And I feel it's better to start small and feel a bit more comfortable and then increase your amount. But that's just my personal opinion. When I started Etsy ads, maybe I did get more eyeballs on my shop, but it also caused me to be in the negatives in my first months, if you have watched my video, which I think is also totally fine to be maybe in the negative in the first month. It wasn't something I planned to, but I was fine with it. And if you think that is what it takes to maybe get started, to spend a little bit more at the beginning, even if it means you don't make any money, then I think if that strategy works for you, that's also absolutely okay. I think what people struggle with is they try Etsy ads and then are very surprised that it doesn't really work, and they lose money and they haven't really planned for it, and it feels just really bad to lose money when you go to a platform where you want to make money. So I think the whole awareness is very important, and then it doesn't really matter if you start with $4 or $1 if you kind of have a strategy behind your Etsy ads. I also wanted to say that actually one of my bestsellers started with traction from Etsy ads. So more and more people actually found it through Etsy ads and bought it. And then Etsy pushed it organically, and then more sales came in and it became a bestseller. So Etsy ads can be quite powerful, you know, it really can give you the kick. It doesn't have to do that, but it could be an opportunity. One thing I tried actually, which I don't recommend, was because I'm based in Europe, the time difference to the US, which I kind of focus on, is very significant. And I remember I tried to kind of turn off the Etsy ads, or just have start with $1 and then increase at a certain time to $4. So then I hope that Etsy would push it out to an US audience. I don't know, I had my own little head around Etsy ads and how it worked. I obviously had no idea who they push out my content to. It doesn't really show you the countries it pushes the Etsy ads out to. But yeah, it also caused that at some point they froze my account, my Etsy ads account, not my payment account. I think because maybe I was playing too much around it and that confused, maybe they got a little warning sign or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, the better thing is to put just an amount in and leave it for quite a while, probably at least a month, and then maybe you can change it, or even 2 weeks, whatever, but don't change it all the time because that maybe makes it a bit suspicious in the back end. I'm not sure about that. Obviously, that is just an assumption. But yeah, with Etsy ads, there is not much you can do apart from switching them on. Later on, once it ran for a while, you can adjust the keywords. You can look into where you can actually change the keywords. If you see some keywords are really not relevant for your product, you can just switch them off. But otherwise, you just switch them on and then Etsy is doing the rest. So you kind of have to trust them to do a good job for you. Obviously, your product needs to be in demand and attractive to buyers. The good thing is that you only pay once a person clicks on your product and has a look, and then basically your product has to do the rest that people want to buy your product. What I also recommend with Etsy ads is to really stick with it for a while. You know, turning it on for 1 or 2 weeks, I don't think it will learn a lot. You know, it doesn't learn what your shop is about, your listings about, your products. So when you decide to use Etsy ads, really do it for more than 30 days. You know, do it as long as possible. Obviously, it does matter if you make any sales from it. So if you don't make any sales, you do have to think about if you need to change something with your products, for example, or maybe you have to switch off the products which don't sell. But overall, I would say to really give it a try and see what you can learn from running Etsy ads for your shop. One thing I also learned from Etsy ads is at the very beginning, I just switched all my products on. You know, it automatically switches all your products and it advertises all your listings. And that's fine. I think you should do that at the beginning, but then later on you really have to think what could be more profitable. For me, for example, I have a lot of printables which are just worth $2, like one PDF page, which people can buy, and that's around $2, and $2 is a very low price. So advertising $2 products is not very profitable. So what I did later, when I started to create bundles or binders, you know, products which have a lot of different pages in it, and it's worth more like $10, for example, then I only advertised those more expensive products, and I ended up maybe advertising like 10 products at a time. I also think it's maybe easier to advertise 10 or 20 listings rather than 200 listings, because again, you want to observe which listings are actually making you money or at least also views, and then switching off the ones which don't work. And it's a lot of work to go through all 200 listings, so make sure you don't overwhelm yourself. You know, I'm actually a fan of Etsy ads, and I was running Etsy ads for months and months. I didn't put that much money in because again, my listings are still quite low price. So I was just spending $1 a day, but I was happy with it. You know, I think I spent half of what I made, so that was pretty good. But then November on December 2023 came and I noticed I didn't make any sales, or maybe like one. And I was very surprised, you know, it changed, although I didn't change anything with my Etsy ads. And then I decided to actually turn off my Etsy ads because I was like, yeah, they don't make me any money, or at least break even, because that's my minimum kind of goal I have with Etsy ads, is to at least break even, to get eyeballs on it, to help also the organic sales. But if I don't break even at this point anymore and I spend more than I actually make with Etsy ads, then it's not suitable for me. And I thought maybe Q4, you know, October, November, December, probably a lot of Etsy sellers switched on Etsy ads, and maybe that influences how my products are now shown. I don't know, again, just an assumption because you don't really know from Etsy, but I just decided to turn them off. And I can tell you already, November and December were my best months. So it didn't really influence my sales in general. I guess I just saved a little bit of money because I didn't run any Etsy ads. So you can see that just because I recommend Etsy ads doesn't mean you have to run Etsy ads all the time. It really depends how they work for you. Maybe experiment a little bit, you know, maybe with different listings or time frames or amounts. That's definitely something you can do to see what changes. But at the same time, try to kind of stick with something for more than 30 days and do not experiment with it every day, because I think that Etsy always takes a little bit of time to adapt to your kind of settings. Last but not least, I wanted to mention offside ads. I didn't pay much attention to offside ads. You don't even have to do anything. I think you can switch them off at some point, but I just let them run because it is actually better than Etsy ads, because you only pay once someone bought from you. And I think that's much better than the clicks, to be honest, right? So I just left them running. But recently, I think since December, and now we are in January, I noticed that I get quite a few sales from offsite ads for one specific product, and it is found via Google. And I thought that was pretty cool. Yes, you pay a little bit of fee, but I really don't mind as long as I make sales. And it's also a bigger product, so not a $2 product. I think it's about $10, $15 product. And I make sales through offsite ads. And that helps my organic sales as well. So just to summarize, my conclusion is try Etsy ads for sure. Try as early as possible, because at the beginning, your Etsy shop needs some eyeballs. Try to keep it low, you know, start with $1, because I think most of the people feel comfortable with that. Just incorporate that in your budget, like just $30 a month. Then observe your Etsy ads, you know, have a look after 30 days, what kind of keywords Etsy is using for your products. Switch some of these keywords off if you think they are wrong, and then let Etsy ads run. And if you think there is success with Etsy ads, why not going up with your budget? For sure, I think that's definitely something I would do. If you don't feel comfortable after, you know, 1-2 months and it's really not working, maybe switch them off. Try to see if you can change anything, because if you don't sell anything with Etsy ads and if you don't sell anything with organic traffic, then maybe you have to change something with your listings, you know. So there's a lot to always think about. Really decide for yourself if you want Etsy ads. You know, in general, you don't really need Etsy ads. Your shop can work just fine without Etsy ads. But if you want to accelerate things, if you want to experiment, and especially if you are a bit more successful with sales, you could also boost that with Etsy ads. So these things you should consider and then make a decision for yourself. Let me know in the comments down below if you have tried Etsy ads and what you thought of Etsy ads, and also subscribe to this channel. I hope I see you in my next video.